Hey crafty friends, this is Gina Crotchfeld from Sweet Inspiration, and this is my first ever YouTube video. So I am here because Heather B asked me to play along with her and the other awesomely talented ladies on the design team for my little scrapbook store, and we are doing her birthday YouTube hop. So I finally got to it and made a YouTube video. So happy birthday, Heather. Thanks for giving me that push that I needed. Heather chose Cocoa Vanilla Studios Daydream paper, and this is definitely not something I would have chosen. So this is why I am having so much fun, because I like to be pushed out of my comfort zone and try things that I normally wouldn't do. So tonight I am going to make a waterfall mini album. This is something that I saw Amber on Lyric Lover Crafts do, and also Tracy Reed did her version of it with a cover. So that's how I got the idea from that. So I basically took Amber's project and Tracy's project and melded them together to make my own project. So I added some pink cardstock to the mix of papers. And first we're going to start with this pink cardstock. This is going to make the cover. And this piece is 7¼ by 11. And you're going to score it at 3 3/8, and then again at 7 5/8, so that the middle section is 4 1/4. Then we're just going to fold that over, and this is going to create the cover wraparound for our waterfall element. Just scored each side, close that up, and there you have it. I'm going to set that aside, and next is the base for our waterfall element, which is 4 inches by 7 inches, and I used this green coordinating cardstock. Then you're going to need 7 pieces of 4 by 4½ cardstock, and each of these is going to be scored at 1/2 inch. These pieces are going to be used to line up right down the middle of that cardstock to make our waterfall. Next is 15 pieces of pattern papers. These are cut at 3 3/4 by 3 3/4 square, and each of these are going to go on the front and back panels of each piece of our waterfall. And then we have the skinny strips, and these are 3 3/4 by 3/8, and these are going to be used to fill in the gaps that are going to be left when we adhere each piece of the waterfall. Next, I have a couple of panels to decorate the cover. This blue dotted back panel cover is 4 by 7 inches, and that's going to go right on that centerpiece in the back. And then each of these pieces is 3 1/8 by 7, and those are going to fit on each of those panels. So I'm going to start with my green base, and this is what we're going to build our waterfall element onto. So I'm taking my 4 1/2 by 4 inch piece, folding down my score line, and I'm going to adhere it right at the very top of the waterfall base. I'm going to try and match up the edges, stick that down, smooth it out. Then when I flip it open, I'm going to smooth it with my bone folder, and you can see right where the edge comes is where I'm going to glue the next piece of the waterfall. And that's going to get glued down, and it's going to bump up right against the edge of the previous piece. And there we have our middle section of the waterfall element. all the pieces lined up, ready to go. So next we're going to take our pattern cardstock, and again these pieces are 3 3/4 by 3 3/4, and we're going to adhere one to each of the front and back of every waterfall panel on this section. I just used some dry adhesive on here and then just centered each. Then we're going to flip over and do one right on the back panel. And there we have the waterfall element with pattern paper covered on the front and back of each panel. So next we're going to take the 3 3/4 by 3/8 strips and we're going to adhere them in between the panels. This is just a way to finish it off and cover up the cardstock. It's not something you have to do, but I just like the look and it gave me the opportunity to use some more of these pattern papers. And there we have our waterfall panel complete with different pattern papers on each side. Next, we're going to work on the cover. That's the pink cardstock that I cut and scored earlier. And I am going to adhere the pattern papers to the back panel and each of the sides that will close up to the front cover. Next, I'm going to adhere the waterfall section to the middle of my pink cardstock, and that should fit nicely right in between the two score lines. And then on the sides over here, I might add some pattern paper, or you could even put some more photo mats if you want some more room for pictures. I'm going to use my art glitter glue on this because I want to make sure that that piece is in there nice and strong. Now that our book is finished, I'm going to add some ribbon to it to keep it closed. So here I have a piece of ribbon about 40 inches long, and I'm creasing it in the middle just to get a center point. I'm going to lay that down on the back panel. I put a little adhesive strip right down in the middle of the panel, and I'm going to stick the ribbon right on top of it. Then I'm going to use a cut apart that I took out of the sheet of cut aparts that was included with the set, and I just matted it in a piece of green cardstock. And I'm going to center that right on top of the ribbon to anchor it to the back panel. Then when we flip it over, you can close each side of the book and tie up the ribbon. This will hold our book together quite nicely. Next, I decided that I would do a little bit of decorating on the inside of the book. We have those blank panels on either side of the waterfall, and I thought maybe we could dress it up a little bit. Maybe use some pattern paper just to add a little bit more color. I chose this blue paper since I felt that there was a lot of white space. Each of these pieces is cut 3 1/8 by 7, and they're going to get adhered onto each of the inside panels. Finally, I wanted to add some embellishments to this inside. I couldn't resist playing with all these cute elements that came in the ephemera pack that coordinates with it. There's a lot of fun flowers, rainbows, hearts. There's even some photo frames, lots of adorable die cuts. So I'm just going to take those out and play around and see how I can bring this piece to life a little bit. I definitely like the rainbows. This sort of reminded me of something that would be for a little girl. So I decided to stick to that theme with the pieces that I was using. I definitely wanted to include the rainbow and maybe some butterflies and hearts. As you can see, there's a lot of cute elements in this pack. These are the picture frames. There's even a circle picture frame. That rainbow comes out in the center. And then we have all these cute sayings, the butterflies, the hearts. So I'm going to put some butterflies and rainbows and try and keep this like a little girl theme. So once all my pieces were down, I decided it just needed a little something extra. So I took out my Wink of Stella pen and added glitter to all the embellishments that I glued down. This just gave each piece a little bit of sparkle and a little bit of pop. That completes my Waterfall mini album. I'm going to close it up and tie up my ribbon. This will keep my little book closed. And this would make a great gift, or maybe I'll save it and fill it with pictures of my little girl. Thanks for joining me on this YouTube hop for Heather B's birthday. Don't forget to follow along with the rest of My Little Scrapbook Store's design team members. And if you like what you saw today, please subscribe to my newly found YouTube channel and give me a thumbs up. I hope to bring more videos in the future. And you can also follow me on Instagram at sweetinkspiration_ by Gina C. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget, make stuff and be happy.